Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
Right now at 6, calls grow louder for an accused murderer to turn himself in.
We are collectively deploying every resource at our disposal to find Christopher.
Federal and local officials working around the clock to find Christopher Francis Sweeney, accused of killing his baby girl.
Camilla was one of our own, a happy, beautiful little girl whose life was taken needlessly.
They're pleased to the public tonight as they search for answers. Plus, Ivy League lawsuit, discrimination allegations at Yale, how the school's responding after claims they place extra pressure on students with mental health issues. And the White House rolling out the red carpet. Governor Ned Lamont on the guest list for a state dinner with the president.
Down by the river, they've been working on the railroad. The holiday train show returns to Essex. I'm Jim Altman, more ahead.
The Fox 61 News at 6 starts right now.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on the News at 6. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Jen Bernstein. The call for Christopher Francis Sweeney to turn himself in for allegedly killing his 11-month-old baby girl Camilla is now growing louder by the day.
Law enforcement on a state and federal level holding a news conference this morning, speaking more about the public and how they can identify him.
Fox 61's Carmen Chow joins us live in front of the Naugatuck Police Department with those details. Carmen.
Ben and Jen, law enforcement are calling this a large-scale search. This is a case where they really could use the public's help. The FBI saying Christopher Francis Sweeney may have changed his appearance so no one can recognize him.
The search will not stop until we find you and that we bring you in.
That is the message law enforcement want 31-year-old Christopher Francis Sweeney to know. The FBI calling his act heinous and violent, and there could be people out there helping him hide. Those people now urged to turn him in since the FBI says they could be putting themselves in legal and physical safety jeopardy.
He may be contacting family, friends, or acquaintance seeking assistance, and he may travel to places with which he is familiar.
Billboards for Francis Sweeney's capture plastered across 3 major highways, 91, 95, and 84. It shows a picture of him, the FBI's phone number, his 2 charges, and the $25,000 reward that is being offered. He is facing 2 significant charges, murder with special circumstances and risk of injury to a child. FBI Special Agent in charge, Michael Bush, telling the public of his possible new look and his erratic, unpredictable behavior.
He may have also attempted to change his appearance, such as shaving his beard, cutting his hair, or hiding the very distinctive tattoos on his neck and on his hands.
These pink wristbands now being worn by law enforcement members. It says justice for Camilla. With her birthday and the day of her murder, she would have turned 1-year-old this Saturday.
This kind of a loss, it tears a hole in our community and leaves us all searching for questions and answers.
Now, if you think you spotted Francis Sweeney, you are urged to contact the FBI or call 911 immediately, but do not approach this man since he is considered very dangerous. I'm live in Naugatuck. Carmen Chow, Fox 61 News.
Carmen, thank you. A group of current and former students have filed a class action lawsuit against Yale University. They say the prestigious institution has policies that are unfair and are potentially harmful to students facing severe mental health challenges.
Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez has been speaking with students today and has reaction from the university.
Like many college students, Rachel Shaw Rosenbaum faced mental health challenges. In March of 2021, Rachel took her own life on campus.
Many of us personally experienced some of the anguish that Rachel had to deal with.
Rishi Mirchandan was inspired by Rachel's story and co-founded an organization called Ellis for Rachel. Now that group of current and former students is suing Yale University, but not for money damages. They want policy change.
Form an academic policy that offers reasonable accommodations to students with mental health disabilities.
The group filed a class action lawsuit Wednesday in U.S. District Court in Connecticut, claiming Yale's withdrawal and reinstatement policies, in place since the 1960s, are harmful for students with a mental health disability and force them to lose campus health benefits while on leave. The 41-page complaint says Yale, quote, requires withdrawn students to remain away for 1 to 2 full terms, even if they are ready to return earlier. But Yale claims it has eased said policies. In a statement, a spokesperson for Yale University said in part, quote, we have taken steps in recent years to simplify the return to Yale for students on medical withdrawals and to provide additional support for students. Students we caught up with here in New Haven agree that mental health policy change is needed.
I know a lot of people who have had struggles trying to get therapists at Yale Health, and I think that the consensus on campus is that something needs to change.
I think it's something that a lot of people deal with in silence and don't ever end up getting treatment for, with stigmas around it and just difficulty to be able to get access. I think making that easier for everybody would be great.
If you leave for a semester, it's really hard to come back after for mental health, so we want to change that.
This is the kind of mental health crisis among college students that no university healthcare system is designed to handle. And so there needs to be a fundamental rethinking of the kinds of solutions available to students.
In New Haven, Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61 News.
Waterbury police have made an arrest in connection to a September homicide. Waterbury police worked with officials in Puerto Rico to locate Gelson Cruz, who had been staying in the country. He's facing charges in connection to the death of 26-year-old Jordan Savage. Savage was shot and killed in the parking lot of the Colonial Grocery back on September 13th.
North Haven police are investigating a fatal crash tonight. Police say it happened on I-91 northbound near exit 12 last night. They say a car ran off the roadway and hit a tree, causing the car to burst into flames. The driver was pronounced dead on scene. Police have not released the victim's identity at this time, and the crash is still under investigation. Well, new tonight in Southington, police responded to a crash right at the intersection of Executive Boulevard and West Street. Police tell us that 2 cars were involved, one being a handicap van. They say there's at least 6 reported injuries because of this. Officials are still investigating what caused the crash.
Well, 2 men were arrested for an alleged armed carjacking in Wethersfield. Elijah Johnson and Damian Gordon are facing charges tonight. The 2, along with another man, allegedly robbing a man in the parking lot of the Wine and Spirit on the Berlin Turnpike with guns, then stealing that victim's car. Police were able to track the car, but after making contact with the suspects, a brief chase then ensued. The car eventually crashed and the men were taken into custody. Police say they are still looking, though, for that 3rd suspect.
Well, new tonight, New Haven police are asking for the public's help in locating a person they believe might have information about a homicide that happened in 2020. Police releasing this photo. They want to talk to this person who may have information about the shooting death of Nathaniel Henry. He was killed outside of the Wendy's on Whaley Avenue in March of 2020. If you recognize who this person is, call New Haven Police. New Haven Police also searching for a suspect in an armed robbery from last month. Police are looking to identify this man they believed robbed the TD Bank on Fox and Boulevard October 29th. If you recognize this person or have any information, you should give police a call.
Well, turning to the weather right now, the rain is over and the sun returned today.
Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now with the forecast. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, and the wind is starting to diminish tonight as well, because while not as windy as this time yesterday, it certainly was blustery out there too. We still have a wind gust being reported up to 17 miles per hour in Chester, but where you're not seeing wind gusts being reported, that's because there aren't any. There's still a bit of a breeze, but it's definitely easing up, and that will continue as we head through the next 12 hours or so. So tomorrow, not so much of a wind chill, just the chill that's in place. A couple snow showers or a flurry in northwestern Connecticut today, but looks like that's over with for now. Temperatures right now in the 30s to right around 40 degrees. Tomorrow's looking like a pretty nice day. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, it's about 20 degrees colder than it was at this time yesterday. Lows tonight dropping back through the 20s, so a chilly start to the day tomorrow, but bright sunshine and less wind than recent days will go a long way to making it feel pretty comfortable out there. At least for this time of year, it is right around average, with high temperatures climbing into the mid-40s as we head through the afternoon. Tomorrow night, increasing clouds around this time as our next round of rain and wind moves in. So we're going to be watching that for Saturday. Not as intense as what we had move through yesterday, but still rain and wind nonetheless to start off the weekend. We'll time it out for you. Full forecast coming up.
Thank you, Rachel. COVID numbers up slightly across the state tonight. The governor releasing the latest data. The 7-day positivity rate currently standing at 9.21%. Currently, 413 residents are in the hospital with the virus. 15 people died in the last week.
Governor Ned Lamont and his wife Annie Lamont among the guests at the White House tonight for President Biden's first state dinner. This as President Biden hosting French President Emmanuel Macron for the first official state visit of his administration. But beneath the surface, some friction over the war in Ukraine and trade policy. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
A ceremony filled with pomp and pageantry as President Biden welcomes French President Emmanuel Macron. The White House decked to the nines for the United States' oldest ally.
It's an honor, a genuine honor to host you for the first state visit of my administration.
But beyond the festivities, the two leaders are set to discuss a slew of issues behind closed doors. At the top of the list, the war in Ukraine.
Since the very beginning of this war, we worked very hard together.
While NATO has maintained a united front against the Russian invasion, Europe is bearing the brunt of high energy prices and economic pain.
You have Europe that is bracing for the winter. Fears of a recession are far more acute over there. Given the war in Ukraine, the proximity to that war, than they are here in the United States.
Beneath the glitz, tensions are also simmering over the Inflation Reduction Act. Macron's government estimates the plan could cost the country 10 billion euros in investment and 10,000 jobs.
The $369 billion in that package for incentives for clean energy, to transition to clean energy. People in Europe like Macron and other leaders see that as remarkably protectionist.
Diplomatic discord between the two countries came out in the open a little more than a year ago. The U.S. and Britain announced a deal with Australia for nuclear-powered submarines, undermining a contract for France to sell diesel-powered submarines. President Biden later called the U.S. handling of the deal clumsy. The two world leaders meet again this evening for a state dinner with a menu featuring Maine lobster, beef, and American cheeses. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox 61 News.